So here we are. We're here to talk about Jenny Everywhere, aka The Shifter. Basically, she is an open source character specifically designed as such about 10 years ago. And let's see, Jenny Everywhere is, quote, well, actually, this is not a quote, but she usually described as a spunky young woman, a multi-dimensional being that exists in all realities at once, an open source, public domain character, not from expired copyright, but actually designed as such. To give proper credit, and probably to introduce ourselves, I'm Fessworks. You can find me at webcastbeacon.com, a webcomics podcast site, among other things, and you can go to fessworks.com for more. With me for the first time is Benj Christensen of bjccreations.com.
Correct. And I am the writer, sometimes artist, on the Jenny Everywhere Chronicles when it updates.
Right. So, we did not create Jenny Everywhere. We are probably the most adamant fans of Jenny Everywhere.
Yeah, I'd say that's safe to say.
Probably we're the foremost authority.
Yes, that what I would say.
But to give proper credit, I don't know how to say his last name. I say Stephen Wintle.
I always go with that as well.
Or Stephen Wintley, maybe. I don't know.
I've always gone Wintle. I don't know why.
Canadian cartoonist, is largely credited as the creator of The Shifter, though the eventual Jenny Everywhere was indeed a group effort on the barbalith.com forums of the Barbalith Underground. And the image shown up here is actually one of the first sketches, public domain sketches that Stephen Wintle did. Wintle and the others on this forum were discussing possible open source comic book characters. Aside from Octobriana, which has a little bit murky startups as well, and maybe I'll do a presentation on her at some point. And she's a Russian femme fatale whose origin is debatable.
Pretty much.
But there are no known truly free and open source characters, aside from maybe expired public domains or some duels that some people did. But I do know that there are some sites that where people have put their own stuff out like that, but nothing that comes close to being
not as popular, not as
notable either.
Yes,
because Jenny's on Wikipedia.
Yes, not as widely used. I think they pretty much put it up there, and I don't know how many people have actually used them. But
right. Soon the Barbalith Forum Nights started a collective comics project, and the goal started fairly simple, with varying options to pursue. In short, they were to make a comic anthology with a public domain character, basically. And though the idea and design existed perhaps a year earlier, we're not sure. At August 13th, 2001 is when The Shifter was presented to the barbalith.com forums by Stephen Wintley in a post, and I consider that the birth. We kind of agreed on that.
Yeah. I would say so.
Yeah, because like with any child, you're not fully developed at birth, so the nurturing kind of happened on the forum.
Yeah.
And so August 13th, we dubbed Jenny Everywhere Day, in which...
I run a website, jennyeverywhereday.com, that pretty much every August 13th, I put out emails and whatnot, trying to get as much art as I can to put up on the site and try to spread the word of The Shifter as much as I humanly possibly can.
And the next slide. And with being an open source project, it's not complete without letting people know that it's open source. Thus we get the copyleft mantra. The character of Jenny Everywhere is available for use by anyone with one condition. This paragraph must be included in any publication involving Jenny Everywhere in order that others may use this property as they wish. All rights reversed.
The paragraph.
Yes. I will say you don't need to put this on every single comic page that you make with her.
Not every panel, not every,
Putting it once somewhere on the site, even on the cast page, just somewhere so people know.
Yeah.
And pretty sure if you're going to do like an art doodle, you don't really need to do that either, but it's you can still own the copyright on your own works, of course.
Yes.
And you can license that idea, but the idea and concept of Jenny Everywhere is free to use So you can't really sell Jenny Everywhere to a big movie studio in general. You can sell your own story of Jenny Everywhere.
Yes.
Their character design and whatnot.
Anything that would limit the copyright from
Right.
other people being able to use it is completely forbidden. But anything beyond
It is
that,
forbidden.
yes, exactly. Anything beyond that would be complete fair game.
Yes. Though anyone who does something. Wait, I already said that. Yeah, the quote here from the site, the original site, is if one of the conditions of selling your story is also to sell the character of Jenny for any exclusivity, you are not free to do so. This is the one and only rule for Jenny Everywhere concept. If you do this, you are selling a publisher a bill of goods and nothing else. And the artwork, the comic we have here is from Ed Bryson's sob story. She had like a two strip cameo. So trying to credit everything we bring up here as much as possible. And thus here is, my rendition of Jenny Everywhere. One of them. Though not explicitly stated, Jenny tends to be a teen or 20-something, at least in the age of attitude. You shouldn't feel limited to just use that age range, because there have been a variety since. To paraphrasing Stephen Wintle again, Jenny was originally created and basically described as an average build woman of East Asian or Native North American heritage with short, dark hair, dresses comfortably, typically with aviator goggles and a scarf as her trademark accessories. If pressed to compare her to anything, still paraphrasing, it would have to be like Tintin listening to Le Tigre and joined the Fantastic Four. She's excitable, passionate, attentive, curious, and caring. Like Captain Marvel, she's really just a powerful kid. Loads of confidence, charisma, and a ready smile. She was also described as having dimensional powers, being the shifter and everything, as well as existing in all realities at once. She was also talked about as having knowledge between her other selves and other realities. Not as a separate being in each, but rather all the same. Now this has been a little bit flexible in some areas, of course. But her powers were kept vague on purpose to allow for freedom of the creators. Actually, I'm still paraphrasing. However, it's noted that she wasn't the kind to really use her powers in her confrontations as much, as it seemed like cheating. And she usually fights using her own strength, smarts, and cunning. Now that doesn't go for everybody's rendition.
No, I personally like her using her powers a lot, but that's my own version of it, my own take on the character.
But as with infinite realities, there's infinite possibilities.
Exactly.
Eventually, some of these aspects changed during her various creations, and some people have adapted and basically split off different versions. Let's see here. And the big, I didn't add this one. Jenny's many forms, because Jenny Everywhere exists in all realities, are infinite possibilities, and there's been a furry character. She's been a fox. She's been blonde, black, a cat, and a guy, I guess.
Various ages, various.
Yes. I get to see like an energy cloud. With
non-corporeal. Yeah, no, I've not.
I've seen a fetus.
Where's the fetus?
It's in one of the strip fight ones.
Okay.
Well, see it also, and that one Jenny's also piloting sperm.
I vaguely remember that one. Yes, that one was very odd.
But there is an issue with that. If you get too far away from what the core concept is of Jenny Everywhere, people, like especially elitists, might say that's not really Jenny Everywhere. And I don't have an example of this, but there is one particular story of Jenny Everywhere where it was on the site, and they took it down. The original JennyEverywhere.com site, it was New York Chaos.
Yeah.
Trigger warning for anybody who has problems with 9/11. Something happens in New York, and they feel that she's completely out of character. You can look at it as more like a rebellious symbolism, but two FBI agents end up getting killed in there. So it was removed.
It's a little bit of an odd story.
But I have it up. I like to for completion's sake. So.
Yes.
So All the avatars,
Yes.
basically. I run something called the Shifter Archive. You go to shifterarchive.com or jennyeverywhere.net, and I collect everything I can find about Jenny Everywhere and put it up there. Dedicated stories, single strips, cameos in other comics, including like actual storylines within other comics, artwork. The Shifter Archive is actually off by 2.5 years. I finally converted the old site to a new site, and
This is the right room, right? Nope. No? No?
I converted the old site to the new site, but I also have 2.5 years of backlog. So I'm still working on that. But as of August 2011, there are over 100 different pieces of art, 28 different dedicated stories, 10 different story arcs within existing webcomics, 23 different cameos within existing webcomics, 20 different one-off comics, 9 different webcomics with Jenny as a regular cast member. And I think there's at least 6 different written stories that I have collected.
That
thus
sounds about
far.
right, from at least what I've seen on there.
There's been a few more. Oh man, there was so much more to add.
Yeah. I know the one guy did like a couple just recently, like within the past year. I think he did a couple new ones.
Who's that guy that does Freak Angels?
Oh, Warren Ellis.
Yeah, Warren Ellis has like a forum where he was like, draw Jenny everywhere. So like there
Yeah.
were like what 25
Oh yeah.
in there.
When I saw that, I'm like, oh my god. It's like just the simple fact that Warren Ellis knows who the character was. I'm like, yes.
Yes. I actually had to jump in and question was like what he meant by the title. It was like a running theme. So it was
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Ended up doing a watercolor for that one. It's like, oh, I gotta do something, and I better participate.
They had some really, really, really nice pieces for that. They really did.
Let's see. While she may be open source, that may be kind of silly, but you must consider the nature of Jenny. The way the shifter is designed, it's almost as if each story of her is technically possible. I mean, who's to say one dimension of Jenny is to another? Infinite possibilities. In fact, some stories specifically approach this idea, either having Jenny meet other Jennies or by unofficially linking other Jenny stories to their own, usually indirectly, because you don't want to, take somebody's
Run into the
copyright
Yeah,
issues with their
exactly.
dedicated
Nice
stories.
small homages to the originals.
The best example is there's this comic called My Bloody Valentine, in which she's kind of mentally shifting between her other selves and one of her boyfriends because it's Valentine's Day. Gives her a Necronomicon he had to sell his soul for, and then Scott D.M. Simmons did sort of a sequel or a catch-up with that by having those two, that Jenny and that boyfriend, shift while reading the Necronomicon.
I am fairly certain that that's the same writer, I think is how that
Are you
ended.
sure?
I'm pretty positive, because I think it's Alex, and I cannot remember what his last name is.
I don't think it's Alan Hernandez.
There was one that, there's a number of stories at that point that were all written by the same guy, that he just had different artists working with him. I
I know Alex Hernandez did a bunch.
Yeah, and I want to say that was him. I want to say both of those were him, but I could be wrong on that.
Right. Well, it's on the site, if anything.
Yes.
Let's see here. Yep, and we already covered that. This particular slide is Artie Schulenberg's Union of Heroes. It's a photo comic that used the first photo comic to actually use Jenny while it was going. Not planned, because there's been a couple. Well, you can count the superiority complex, but I only can find one page of that, and she's a fade into that one. So I'm not really counting that because it seems to be missing.
That was a project where I believe it was Scott Simmons actually trying to do that one again.
His friends doing it. Actually.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And that one the project fell apart at one point. Whatever point.
I guess so.
But
and we're at the end of our actual notes here.
Did you see that she's coming back on that? That he's
well, he's on a 6-month hiatus now.
Okay, but when he gets back from that, she's supposed to be a key factor into it. They've been working her back in.
It was so she's. I got to move her from cameo to she was in arcs to cast member.
Sure.
So it's a little subjective at that point.